The most difficult thing about launching a rocket is sometimes not the technical side, but the regulations. Obviously, no matter how fast your rocket building is, if the bureaucrats' paperwork shuffle is slow, your progress will also be slowed down. It was indeed a bitter pill that Elon Musk's rocket company, SpaceX, had to endure while headquartered in California, a hub for aerospace innovation that was once a dream for many rocket startups. This led to a historic change in SpaceX's headquarters location, from the Golden State to Texas, a place with more favorable conditions. While the move marks a significant shift with potential economic impacts on both states and the future of space exploration, it also raises a question. Does this move mean SpaceX will easily abandon California altogether, especially as its arch-rival embarks on its own crazy plans? Tune in to today's episode to find out. Anyway, thank you for helping us reach 88,000 subscribers. Our next goal is 100,000, and we need your support to get there. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We appreciate your help. Thank you. Elon Musk once viewed California as the promised land for innovation and entrepreneurship, a place where he could realize his ambitious visions. His companies, Tesla, X, and SpaceX, thrived in California's supportive environment, which offered substantial government subsidies and a highly skilled workforce. Especially, SpaceX has strongly developed and built on the remaining heritages of the old space here. They took over an abandoned aerospace building in LA County and turned it into the highest volume rocket producer in the world. However, over time, Musk's perception of California soured due to what he described as over-regulation, over-litigation, and over-taxation, leading to a contentious relationship with the state that had once nurtured his success. Ultimately, his frustrations culminated in gradually relocating key companies' headquarters to Texas. For instance, Tesla headquarters made a big relocation from Palo Alto, California to Austin, Texas on December 1, 2021. This is because the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, refused to allow Tesla's Fremont plant to reopen despite Musk's demands due to COVID-19. Elon Musk made it clear that Newsom's move impacted factory operations amid a critical situation as Tesla began delivering its new Model Y crossover. Similarly, in 2024, the billionaire officially moved the headquarters of X from San Francisco to a lesser-known spot in Texas called Bastrop. Finally, that same year, it was the rocket company SpaceX's turn to move out of the Golden State and head to the Lone Star State. There are, of course, economic advantages to relocating a business from California to Texas. No corporate taxes, less regulation, and access to a growing pool of talent. However, there is more to this transition. Texas presented logical benefits that would never be available on the densely populated West Coast. There was plenty of open land for businesses looking to expand their operations. There was less traffic to deal with, and that meant people could move around faster and more efficiently. The tax is lower, the houses are more affordable. All of that helps to draw the young talent. Although relocating the headquarters started this year, in fact, Musk has been in the Lone Star State for years. SpaceX selected Boca Chica Beach near Brownsville, Texas, to build the new commercial launch facility in 2014. By early 2018, SpaceX announced that Boca Chica, which was later called Starbase, would be dedicated exclusively to the development and testing of its next-generation vehicle, Starship. This leads to a series of heavy investments from both SpaceX and the other businesses in the small border town, transforming it into a bustling area. Since then, Starbase has become a production and test hub for the Starship program. 6 integrated flight tests of the rocket occurred at this place, with the inaugural test on April 20, 2023. Frankly, moving out of California is also political. There is a clear political difference between the two places, as California is increasingly becoming a Democratic stronghold, while Texas is famous for being a Republican-majority state. Musk's political alignment has become more apparent in recent years, as he has been vocal about his support for Republican policies. This has left his business empire a victim of Democratic retaliation. Most notably, the FAA wanted to delay Starship Flight 5 until after the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Now, with complete immigration to Texas, Elon Musk hopes his companies will have much more favorable conditions to grow. Nevertheless, saying goodbye to California doesn't mean SpaceX is no longer connected to the Golden State. The company maintains the rocket launch contracts with the Pentagon at Vandenberg Base and even further accelerates the frequency of rocket launches in that place. In October, SpaceX was awarded contracts for 9 launches under the National Security Space Launch (NSSL) Phase 3 Lane 1 program. More importantly, SpaceX has recently nailed getting the Space Force's approval to launch up to 100 SpaceX Falcon 9 launches annually at Vandenberg Base. This is the best middle finger ever to Musk's most aggressive attackers, the California Coastal Commission, who have cited personal reasons for restricting the nation's defense interests. In mid-October, the commission voted to reject SpaceX's plan to increase the number of rocket blasts into space up to 50 a year. Clearly, they have defied assurances from Space Force and Air Force officials that they will step up efforts to monitor the impact of rocket launches on nearby wildlife. Now, the end result is indeed a bitter pill for California officials. They initially rejected 50 SpaceX rocket launches per year, but the Pentagon ultimately bypassed them to grant 100 launches. The military's protection is the big motivation for SpaceX to maintain its footprint at Vandenberg. But that's not all. For a while, SpaceX and United Launch Alliance have competed with each other for lucrative military contracts, including the National Security Space Launch Program. In Phase 3 of the NSSL, while both companies were eligible to compete for 9 launches, SpaceX won all of them, demonstrating the military's growing confidence in Elon's rocket company's capabilities. With these positive signs, it would not be unfathomable if SpaceX had increasingly been determined to set the bolder goals. The company is now building 2 landing pads at California's Vandenberg Space Force Base for Falcon Heavy. One of them is the SLC-6 launch complex to enable launches as early as 2025, allowing up to 50 West Coast missions annually. SLC-6 is also a historic site previously occupied by United Launch Alliance. This place would be SpaceX's 5th launch site in the United States. SpaceX previously leased SLC-4 in 2015. Following a period of extraordinary growth fueled by commercial launch demand and the deployment of its Starlink internet mega constellation. Besides SLC-4 and SLC-6 at Vandenberg, it has 2 launch pads in Florida and 1 at Starbase in South Texas. In a response to SpaceX's expansion in California, ULA CEO Tory Bruno has recently proposed a wild idea of positioning ULA's Vulcan Centaur rocket not just as a launch vehicle, but as a potential orbital deterrent against adversaries targeting Space Force assets. In the other moves to enhance the competitive capability of ULA's next-generation rocket, Tory is active in expanding capabilities for the Centaur upper stage and promising to reduce the Vulcan's cost per launch to less than $100 million. ULA's efforts to save the company from its current disappointing situation. United Launch Alliance, a collaboration between Boeing and Lockheed Martin, has been a significant player in the aerospace sector since its inception in 2006. The company provides launch services for NASA, the Department of Defense, and other organizations, boasting over 155 successful launches and a perfect success rate. However, ULA's dominance is waning due to the rise of innovative private launch companies, particularly SpaceX, which has captured about 40% of Pentagon contracts in recent years. Currently, ULA is facing severe financial challenges as budgets exceed expectations and revenues decline due to delays in customer launches. This situation has led Boeing and Lockheed Martin to consider selling ULA to Sierra Space, a move that reflects diminishing interest from its parent companies. Reports suggest that ULA's value has plummeted significantly, with some claiming it may now be worth nothing. The company's struggles were further exacerbated by its reluctance to change. While ULA's Vulcan Centaur has not yet been certified, SpaceX has achieved over 400 launches with its Falcon 9 rockets. As competition intensifies, ULA's future as a leading launch provider hangs in the balance. Moreover, SpaceX always cemented itself as the leader in innovation, which we can see clearly in its Starship program. SpaceX's Starship program represents a groundbreaking leap in space exploration, showcasing the company's commitment to innovation and reusability. Designed as a fully reusable spacecraft, Starship aims to revolutionize how we access space by significantly reducing launch costs and increasing payload capacity. With its two-stage configuration, consisting of the Super Heavy booster and the Starship spacecraft, it is engineered to perform a wide range of missions, including lunar landings and interplanetary travel. The program employs advanced Raptor engines that utilize liquid methane and liquid oxygen, marking a significant advancement in rocket propulsion technology with their full-flow staged combustion cycle. As SpaceX prepares for Flight 7, the importance of this mission cannot be overstated. Following previous test flights, including the successful recovery of the Super Heavy booster during its fifth test in October 2024, Flight 7 aims to further validate the vehicle's capabilities. This mission will not only test the performance of Starship, but also refine its reusability features, which are critical for future missions to Mars and beyond. The Flight 7 mission profile involves the launch of the combined Starship Super Heavy vehicle from Boca Chica, Texas, a return to the launch site of the Super Heavy booster rocket for a catch attempt by the launch tower, and a water landing of the Starship vehicle in the Indian Ocean west of Australia. Mastering the booster catch will pave the way for the attempt to catch the ship in 2025. The ability to catch both stages of the rocket with the launch tower's systems is a game-changer that could lead to unprecedented launch frequencies and cost efficiencies. Given the many similarities with Starship Flight 6, the FAA could easily grant a launch license for the upcoming flight, which is scheduled for January. On December 17th, the FAA officially issued a license modification, publicly announced on X. The agency stated, "Today, the FAA issued a license modification authorizing SpaceX to launch multiple missions of the Starship Super Heavy vehicle on the Flight 7 mission profile and vehicle configuration." The FAA determined SpaceX met all safety, environmental, and other licensing requirements for the suborbital test flight. This signifies that all critical factors, including public safety and environmental compliance, have been satisfied, areas that previously posed delays for SpaceX. Notably, the recent flights have avoided intervention from environmental agencies, signaling substantial progress in addressing these concerns. Talking about Starship's success, can't help but mention the iterative approach SpaceX employs that has allowed for rapid advancements and adjustments based on test results. This flexibility has been crucial as the company navigates challenges and optimizes designs for maximum performance. Moreover, Starship's capacity to carry over 200 metric tons of cargo makes it suitable for ambitious projects such as deploying large satellites and supporting NASA's Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon. In addition to its technical innovations, SpaceX is also focusing on sustainability. The design of Starship aims to produce minimal space debris while utilizing recyclable materials, contributing to a more environmentally friendly approach to space travel. This commitment aligns with Elon Musk's vision of making life multiplanetary by establishing a human presence on Mars. SpaceX has a rich history that began in California and later expanded to Texas. Elon Musk launched SpaceX in a small warehouse in El Segundo, California, driven by his vision to reduce space launch costs and enable Mars colonization. A few years later, SpaceX moved to a larger facility in Hawthorne, which quickly became a hub for innovation and rocket manufacturing, supporting the development of critical infrastructure. The company has since contributed nearly 7,000 jobs, about 16% of total employment in Hawthorne, solidifying its role as a key player in the local economy. The reason behind kicking off his dream in California is very simple. This partly stems from the location's history as the center of many breakthroughs in the space industry, and the state's number of tax breaks and incentives over the years. But more importantly, it's about the talent pool there. Elon Musk reached out to the hobby rocket groups of Southern California as a way to get started with SpaceX as well. These were the guys he wanted, and it was far easier to recruit them where they were. This is where he found early employees like Tom Mueller and Chris Thompson, who were instrumental in building the company's foundation. Taking advantage of the region's vast aerospace talent pool is Elon Musk's initial motivation to stay and stake its expansion plans on a region and state that are often derided for chasing away factories and large headquarters operations with high costs and regulations. In addition to California, SpaceX also has base test sites in Texas. The company's involvement in the area dates back to 2003, when SpaceX took over the McGregor site from the previous rocket company Beale Aerospace. The site was mothballed and already had rocket engine test stands, which SpaceX needed for testing noisy rocket engines and launching prototype spacecraft. McGregor then becomes home to SpaceX's propulsion test team. SpaceX's expansion in Texas took a significant step forward when the company officially selected Boca Chica Village, later named Starbase, as its non-governmental launch facility in August 2014. Initially intended for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches, SpaceX shifted its focus by early 2018 to dedicate Starbase exclusively to the development and testing of its next-generation vehicle, Starship. Since then, Starbase has transformed into a bustling hub for rocket production and testing, witnessing rapid advancements in the Starship program. The facility has further solidified its role as a key player in the future of space exploration, as Elon Musk announced he would relocate SpaceX's headquarters to the Lone Star State. The move is fueled by the unfriendly business climate in California and the conflict of political views between Musk and California Governor Gavin Newsom. More interestingly, he wants to create his own company town here. In December 2024, SpaceX submitted a formal request to Cameron County officials for an election to establish Starbase as an official municipality. This area, located near Boca Chica Beach, serves as SpaceX's rocket manufacturing and launch complex. Musk's choice of Texas is strategic, leveraging the state's business-friendly environment, lack of income tax, and a growing talent pool. Aside from the economic advantages, an investment Musk made around 2020 paints a different picture as to why he loves the state so much. In 2020, Musk began developing a utopia along the Colorado River in Bastrop County, approximately 30 miles southeast of Austin, Texas. This proposed community, dubbed Snailbrook, which is under construction, is intended to serve as a residential area for employees of SpaceX and the Boring Company. Musk's decision to establish Snailbrook stems from his desire to create an environment that fosters innovation and productivity, while addressing the housing challenges faced by his workforce in the rapidly growing Austin area. By acquiring approximately 3,500 acres of land, Musk aims to develop a space that includes affordable housing, recreational facilities, and essential services tailored to the needs of his employees. While Musk plans to charge employees around $800 per month in rent, substantially lower than local market rates, this arrangement resembles historical company towns, where employees live and work in close proximity, although modern labor laws would prevent any exploitative practices. Of course, Texas's favorable incorporation laws make it easier for Musk to establish a town compared to California. Snailbrook and an incorporated Starbase city reflect Musk's ambitious vision in Texas. If you create your own city, and it's a relatively small area now, you have kind of control over that area, Robert Greer said. An associate professor at the Bush School of Government and Public Service at Texas A&M University, he emphasizes that establishing a city, especially in a smaller area, grants significant control over local governance and resources. This control can influence various aspects of community life, including economic development and infrastructure management. He noted that such incorporation could also allow for eligibility for state and federal grants to support local initiatives. The incorporation process is not without challenges. For instance, Texas law requires a minimum population and majority voter approval for a new city to be formed. Additionally, there are concerns from local residents regarding potential environmental impacts from SpaceX operations. For example, in August 2024, Valley Groups sent a letter to the FAA protesting SpaceX's operations at Boca Chica, helping to stall SpaceX's plans to launch Starship 25 times per year. Besides that, some people also don't welcome Musk's changes to the area along the Colorado River. Concerns about Elon Musk's plans for Snailbrook echo historical issues associated with 19th-century company towns. Critics argue that this development could lead to significant corporate control over residents' living conditions and local governance. Anyway, on the positive side, Musk's presence for the past years has contributed significantly to the change of a small Texas border town. Musk's companies, including Tesla and SpaceX, have brought substantial job opportunities to the region. One of the most prominent milestones in Musk's Texas ventures is Tesla's Gigafactory near Austin. Serving as not only the production center for Tesla's future Cybertruck, but also the company's headquarters, Tesla's Gigafactory is expected to create more than 5,000 jobs, contributing to boosting local economic activity and employment. Simultaneously, it anchors Austin as a key player in the global electric vehicle industry. SpaceX has also created over 21,400 indirect jobs in the local area, along with more than 3,400 full-time employees and contractors working directly at its Starbase facility. The company has invested upwards of $3 billion in infrastructure at Starbase, contributing to an annual gross economic market value of approximately $6.5 billion for the region. This investment also includes plans for expanding manufacturing and office spaces. The activities of SpaceX have led to a significant increase in tourism, with projections indicating an economic impact of nearly $100 million from visitors drawn to rocket launches and events at Starbase. Notably, individual launch events have attracted over 11,000 visitors, benefiting local hospitality and service sectors. In addition to these developments, the establishment of Snailbrook, despite some controversy, aims to provide affordable housing for employees while promoting innovation and improving residents' quality of life. The project seeks to build a self-sustaining community that combines living and working environments, aligning with Musk's vision for contemporary urban development. In terms of education, Musk, through the charity called the Foundation, donated $100 million to create and launch a primary and secondary school in Austin, focused on teaching science, technology, engineering, and math. Once it is fully operational, the school will focus on creating the university. While Texas's economy is blooming, California has been facing the significant impacts of SpaceX's move. Elon Musk's decision to relocate SpaceX's headquarters from California to Texas marks a pivotal shift that could reshape the dynamics between the aerospace giant and its home state. While the immediate job losses in California may be modest, the move symbolizes a broader trend of tech companies seeking more favorable business climates, raising concerns about the economic impact on local communities that have long depended on such high-profile employers. As Musk embraces Texas's lower taxes and fewer regulations, critics warn of the potential for increased corporate control over local governance, echoing historical issues associated with company towns. This relocation also intensifies political tensions, particularly in light of Musk's vocal opposition to recent California legislation regarding parental notification on gender identity changes, further complicating his relationship with state officials. Moreover, while Texas offers operational advantages that could accelerate SpaceX's innovation and project timelines, the move may alter the company's brand image and its ability to attract talent accustomed to California's vibrant tech ecosystem. As these changes unfold, the implications for both SpaceX and California will be significant, highlighting the ongoing struggle between corporate interests and state governance in an increasingly competitive landscape. Of course, SpaceX is not the pathfinder for the wave of Elon Musk's companies moving out of California. This transition began in spring 2020 when California mandated the closure of Tesla's Fremont plant due to COVID-19 restrictions. Frustrated by state regulations and political climate, Musk announced plans to relocate Tesla's headquarters to Texas. Following this, he also moved to other ventures, such as the Boring Company, which is developing Hyperloop Plaza near Austin, envisioned as a futuristic community called Snailbrook for employees. Musk cited a recent California law regarding parental notification for gender identity changes as the final straw prompting this move. He expressed dissatisfaction with the crime and living conditions near the X headquarters in San Francisco. Despite criticism and skepticism about the permanence of these relocations, Musk's actions reflect a broader trend of businesses seeking more favorable environments in Texas, which has become increasingly attractive for companies looking to escape California's regulatory landscape. In response to Elon Musk moving Tesla out of California, California Governor Gavin Newsom said he was not worried. "I'm also not worried about Elon leaving anytime soon. I've had a lot of conversations with him, and we're committed to the success and the innovation and the low-carbon green growth economy that he's been promoting for decades, and the state of California is accelerating in." SpaceX has long been tied to its headquarters in Hawthorne, California, since its founding in 2002. Initially, SpaceX operated out of a small warehouse in El Second, California, but in 2007, it moved its headquarters to a larger facility in Hawthorne, which was previously used for manufacturing Boeing 747 fuselages. This location provided ample space for the company's growing operations and allowed for significant expansion. The 1 million square foot building serves as the company's mission control center and employs thousands of workers who design and build the company's spacecraft, including the workhorse Falcon 9 and Dragon capsule. It had then expanded quickly. Most of the company's expansion occurred from 2014 to 2016. That's when the company began to notch a number of milestones, such as a $440 million NASA contract to develop spacecraft as part of the Commercial Crew program. These fruitful encouraged the company to hire hundreds more employees, and Hawthorne officials expected to receive a total of about $600,000 annually in fees from the business once its expansion was complete. This led to a deal between the city and SpaceX to keep headquarters in Hawthorne through 2022, as long as the city reduces certain taxes on the business as promised. The agreement included a $260,000 cap on annual business license fees. That allowed the company to maintain a flat tax rate as it grew larger. However, that preferential treatment can't eliminate a fact that Elon Musk's relationship with California has become increasingly strained. It is marked by criticisms of the state's regulatory environment and recent legislation that he perceives as detrimental to families and businesses. The business environment in California, characterized by high taxes and stringent regulations, has influenced Musk's strategic decisions. Therefore, he finally decided to relocate the headquarters of SpaceX and other ventures out of California, particularly to Texas. Take, for example, at the end of 2021, Tesla officially moved its headquarters to Austin, Texas. The move helps to position Tesla closer to its manufacturing operations and tapping into the burgeoning tech ecosystem in Texas. Austin has emerged as a competitive hub for technology, attracting talent and investment away from Silicon Valley. In 2024, it's SpaceX's turn to move. For a long time, Musk has highly appreciated the Lone Star State's alluring business-friendly climate. With no state income tax and fewer regulations, Texas offers a fertile ground for innovation, allowing Musk to realize ambitious projects like Utopia, a residential community for SpaceX and the Boring Company employees. The lower cost of living not only attracts top talent, but also aligns with Musk's recent political leanings, creating a perfect storm for growth. However, while SpaceX's headquarters is no longer in California, its manufacturing facilities and launch sites remain, particularly Hawthorne Manufacturing Operations facilities and SpaceX's West Coast launch sites located at Vandenberg. This reflects that the company will continue to be subject to overregulation and overtax in California, even if it relocates its headquarters. So, why doesn't SpaceX consider moving manufacturing from Hawthorne to Texas? Honestly, SpaceX wants to maintain facilities in both California and Texas to tap into distinct talent pools. California, particularly the Los Angeles area, is home to a vast talent pool with deep expertise in aerospace engineering and technology. SpaceX benefits from this concentration of skilled workers, many of whom have experience with major aerospace firms like Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin. This talent is essential for SpaceX's ambitious projects, including the development of advanced rockets and spacecraft. Meanwhile, Texas, particularly Austin, is emerging as a tech hotspot with a growing workforce interested in aerospace and engineering roles. Employees may experience higher satisfaction due to the flexibility offered by dual locations. If talents are disillusioned with California's high housing costs and taxes, they can move to the lower cost of living and business-friendly environment in Texas. And SpaceX employees who are accustomed to certain lifestyles in Southern California can easily stay. In addition, the dual locations may foster a unique company culture that blends the innovation-driven ethos of Silicon Valley with the more laid-back, entrepreneurial spirit of Texas, appealing to a broader range of employees. Nearly 2 decades in the Golden State has fostered strong ties between SpaceX and key organizations, including NASA. These relationships are vital for collaboration on projects that advance American human spaceflight capabilities. The proximity to established aerospace companies and governmental agencies enhances opportunities for partnerships, contracts, and shared resources. Not to mention, SpaceX is competing for military contracts to launch on the West Coast, so they have to maintain their presence in California. Facilities like Vandenberg Space Force Base enable SpaceX to conduct polar orbit launches, which are essential for satellite deployments. The existing infrastructure reduces the need for significant investment in new facilities, allowing SpaceX to leverage what is already available in the region. SpaceX's role in California is also significant. And of course, California officials are concerned about the negative impact of SpaceX's relocation. First and foremost, it is about job losses and effects on local suppliers. The departure of SpaceX would likely result in substantial job losses in Hawthorne and surrounding areas. SpaceX employs approximately 6,000 workers in California, many of whom are skilled professionals in aerospace engineering and manufacturing. The loss of such a major employer could lead to increased unemployment rates, particularly in the aerospace sector, which has been revitalized by SpaceX's presence. This could have a cascading effect on local economies, as laid-off workers may struggle to find comparable employment in a region where aerospace jobs are already limited. A move could have big implications for small businesses that have come to rely on the thousands of people who work at the site, for example, restaurants or shops. A California restaurant owner was shocked to learn that billionaire Elon Musk is planning to move SpaceX headquarters to Texas. She is on a first-name basis with countless SpaceX employees who frequently dine at the fabulous grill in Hawthorne. Business has been slow since the pandemic, but her relationship with its employees has helped keep the lights on in recent years. "It's scary because I have a lot of business with them," she said. "If they leave, I don't know what's going to happen to us." Hawthorne Mayor Alex Vargas highlights the city's relationship with SpaceX, saying, "Businesses are constantly looking to relocate to Hawthorne, with SpaceX and the Hawthorne Airport corridor as the key point of synergy." SpaceX's footprint in Hawthorne and Southern California is huge, experts said, so moving to Texas will be complicated and not overnight. You don't just shutter and walk away from a major aerospace facility without thinking super seriously, said Peter Westwick, who teaches history at the University of Southern California. He described the region as the global epicenter of aviation and aerospace for the last 100 years. Now, supply shops for equipment are readily available for companies like SpaceX, and employees have become accustomed to certain lifestyles in Southern California that they may not want to leave. Beyond direct and indirect job losses, reduced innovation and collaboration between companies is also a big problem. Frankly, the competitive landscape of California's aerospace sector encourages innovation and collaboration among companies. Fortunately, SpaceX's presence in California has been a catalyst for the growth of a vibrant aerospace ecosystem, inspiring numerous startups to establish themselves in the region. As noted by industry experts, SpaceX's innovative approach and success have revitalized Southern California's aerospace sector, leading to the emergence of over 400 startups in areas like El Segundo, all closely linked to space technology and engineering. This concentration of companies benefits from the local talent pool, which includes many former SpaceX employees who have gone on to launch their own ventures. There are questions about the future of SpaceX's California facilities as the Starship program progresses and is expected to replace the Falcon and Dragon spacecraft. The manufacturing operations in Hawthorne are crucial for designing and building Falcon rockets, Dragon spacecraft, and Merlin engines. Starship Flight 7, according to the FAA, could occur as early as January 11, 2025. And now, with a few days to go until 2025, let's see how close SpaceX comes to that launch window. Flight 7's Ship 33 completed engine testing at Massey's, including a spin prime on December 12, which aims to verify the upgraded engine plumbing from Block 1 ships. You know, Flight 7 will mark the introduction of the Block 2 ship. Of course, Flight 7 hardware still uses the Raptor 2 model engines and the Block 1 booster. Verifying the engine is a vital stepping stone for two static fire tests on December 15th and 16th. The first test was a full 6-engine static fire, and the second tested single engine demonstrating a flight-like startup for an in-space burn. Once those tests were completed, Ship 33 then rolled back into Mega Bay 2 for the final preparations. Following the engine testing, Booster 14 was back to Mega Bay 1 and is now awaiting the installation of its hot stage ring. At this rate, the day when both Ship 33 and Booster 14 roll to the launch site for stacking is not far away. Okay, now let's shift to the regulatory side. As you know, the FAA approved SpaceX's Flight 7 of Starship shortly after Ship 33 completed engine testing. The statement allows SpaceX to use the Flight 7 mission profile to launch multiple times. It means the company can launch its rocket on the suborbital trajectory, as in the past 6 flights for a few more flights without license modification. The upcoming test flight involves a catch attempt of the Super Heavy booster rocket by Mechazilla and a water landing of the ship in the Indian Ocean west of Australia. This marks significant changes to its Starship mission plans, particularly regarding where the spacecraft will land after its flights. SpaceX initially planned for its Starship to splash down in the Pacific Ocean near Kauai, Hawaii. This area is safe for recovery operations since Hawaii is part of the United States, allowing SpaceX to salvage and study any debris that might provide valuable information about the spacecraft's performance. Starting from Flight 3, SpaceX changed its landing site to the Indian Ocean. This decision aims to allow for new testing techniques, such as performing engine burns while in space. The Indian Ocean provides more flexibility for designing launch trajectories and increases the chances of success for their missions. The shift from the Pacific Ocean to the Indian Ocean also meant that the FAA had to check whether the updates would affect the environment. The agency evaluates SpaceX's test operations under environmental law in the U.S. and the results of the FAA's evaluation. They gave SpaceX the go-ahead and determined that the Indian Ocean landing profile would not significantly impact the environment. The FAA has outlined the plan to allow SpaceX to conduct up to a total of 10 nominal operations. including up to a maximum of 5 overpressure events from Starship intact impact, and up to a total of 5 re-entry debris or soft water landings in the Indian Ocean, within 12 months of National Marine Fisheries Service correspondence through a concurrence letter. To be honest, the FAA first contacted the National Marine Fisheries Service about using the Indian Ocean as a landing site shortly after SpaceX's second flight test. To achieve a soft splashdown in the ocean, the Starship upper stage has to use a combination of controlled re-entry techniques, a flip maneuver for orientation, and engine burns. After completing its mission in space, the Starship upper stage re-enters Earth's atmosphere. This phase involves managing heat and aerodynamic forces as it descends. The vehicle experiences different phases during re-entry, including low drag, high heating, and high dynamic pressure, before slowing down significantly as it approaches the ocean. As Starship descends, it performs a flip maneuver to orient itself vertically for landing. This is crucial for ensuring that the engines are positioned correctly to ignite just before splashdown. Just before hitting the water, the Starship ignites its Raptor engines to slow down and control its descent. This landing burn is designed to reduce speed rapidly, allowing for a soft splashdown rather than a hard impact. The goal is to achieve a soft splashdown, which means the vehicle lands gently on the water surface. During recent tests, such as Flight 5 and Flight 6, SpaceX successfully executed this maneuver, with the upper stage landing accurately in pre-designated areas of the Indian Ocean. After splashdown, there may be some residual fire or debris from the landing process, but SpaceX aims to minimize this through careful engineering and testing. The spacecraft can then be salvaged for analysis, providing valuable data on its performance during flight and re-entry. So, why hasn't SpaceX chosen to catch Starship spacecraft with its Mechazilla system yet? This decision contrasts sharply with the company's history of successful landings, particularly with the Falcon 9 rockets. Since 2015, SpaceX has gained recognition for its ability to land Falcon 9 first-stage rockets safely on landing legs, achieving this feat nearly 400 times, and some boosters have flown as many as 24 times. This expertise has provided SpaceX with the confidence to tackle the more complex challenge of landing Starship. On May 5, 2021, SpaceX successfully landed its Starship prototype, SN-15, after it reached an altitude of 10 kilometers and performed various maneuvers. However, due to several strategic and operational factors, the company temporarily opts for a splashdown for the upper stage and practices the return to the launch site for booster in advance. One primary reason is cost efficiency. The Super Heavy booster is significantly more expensive than Starship itself, so recovering it can lead to substantial savings for future missions. By catching the booster, SpaceX can reuse it multiple times, which greatly reduces launch costs. While both components of SpaceX's launch system are designed for full reusability, catching Starship involves more preparation. The spacecraft is equipped with a thermal protection system, and SpaceX plans to add hardware to facilitate catching it. However, this means that those areas would not be shielded from heat during re-entry. This was part of the testing objectives during Flight 6. Catching the Super Heavy first allows SpaceX to gradually increase operational complexity. Since Super Heavy is larger and heavier than previous rockets like Falcon 9, it presents a more challenging target for recovery. Once the catch system is proven reliable with Super Heavy, SpaceX can apply what they learned to catch Starship, which has its own unique challenges due to its size and design. In this case, SpaceX follows a fail fast, learn fast philosophy, emphasizing iterative testing and learning from each flight. By focusing on catching Super Heavy first, they can gather important data that will inform future attempts with Starship and help mitigate risks. Additionally, Super Heavy follows a different flight trajectory than Starship, which adds complexity and requires more testing before implementation. The Super Heavy's flight begins with igniting its 33 engines for liftoff. At about 40 miles altitude, it shuts down all but 3 center engines before separating from Starship. The booster then performs a boost backburn to return to the launch site and slows down to hover near the pad before being caught by Mechazilla's chopstick arms. Meanwhile, after separation, Starship ignites its Raptor engines and accelerates into space. If the mission involves reaching orbit, it continues until achieving orbital velocity. During landing, Starship uses a unique belly flop maneuver, where it flips over and re-enters the atmosphere belly first for a controlled descent. To test this maneuver's conditions, SpaceX has decided to splash down in the ocean. This allows them to evaluate the spacecraft's control during descent and assess its structural integrity under re-entry forces. If issues arise during descent, any debris will fall into the ocean rather than populated areas. For example, during Flight 5, approximately 65 minutes after liftoff, the ship fired 3 engines to hover over the ocean before tipping over and exploding. It's safe to say Flight 7's success will pave the way for SpaceX's breaking 2025 year. In the next year, SpaceX plans to launch its Starship rocket up to 25 times, which is a significant increase from the 5 annual launches currently permitted. According to a draft environmental assessment by the FAA, there will be 25 landings for both Starship elements, its Super Heavy booster and ship upper stage, back at Starbase. These landings would occur at the launch tower, which would catch the returning vehicles using its chopstick arms. This could signal a catch attempt of the ship sometime in 2025. It's very important because SpaceX is set to conduct the Starship propellant transfer campaign, which will begin in March 2025. It's a technical milestone that the company is required to nail under the condition of NASA's Artemis 3 mission. In the campaign, the ship-to-ship propellant transfer demo will be the first ship-to-ship docking and propellant transfer. This demo will likely entail twin Starship launches and booster recoveries at Starbase. The mission is planned to be completed over the summer of 2025 and will feature 2 Starship launches, which will place 2 ships in orbit where they will dock, and the tanker ship will transfer propellant to the other. This is essential to SpaceX's plan for the human landing system version of Starship that will be used to land astronauts on the Moon, starting with the Artemis 3 mission, currently scheduled for no earlier than mid-2027. Multiple Starship launches will transfer propellant into a depot in low Earth orbit that will then be used to fuel the HLS Starship, sending it to the Moon. Anyway, with ramping up Starship's launch cadence to 25 missions in 2025, SpaceX is working its way up to a launch rate of 100 flights annually, and eventually a Starship launching on a daily basis. As 2024 wraps up, SpaceX Starship achieved new and significant milestones, marking a year of remarkable progress and operational success. This year, Starship conducted 4 test flights, double that of 2023. Each test flight marks a leap forward toward SpaceX's final goal of Mars colonization. The historical 3rd test flight on March 14th witnessed the Starship mega rocket reach orbital speed for the first time. More interestingly, the launch occurred on the 22nd anniversary of SpaceX's founding in 2002. Neither the Starship vehicle nor its Super Heavy booster survived all the way through to their intended splashdown, but SpaceX officials said the test flight achieved several of its key goals during the flight. It includes reaching its planned orbit and achieving its first ever entry into space. It's safe to say that it progressed further than it did on any previous test. During its first 2 test flights last year, Starship exploded before making it to orbit, around 4 and 12 minutes after launch, respectively. Flight 3 also witnessed for the first time Starship's propellant transfer demonstration in space, given that thousands of pounds of propellant were transferred between internal tanks. This marks an important mark for future moon missions run by NASA's Artemis program, and even longer missions into space. Although both components ended up failing during re-entry, the valuable data from the flight gives SpaceX a solid and confident start to its fourth flight. During the June 6th test flight, both booster and ship made them all the way to a soft landing in the ocean, a huge leap compared to Flight 3. This success paved the way for the unprecedented feat in the following flight. In my opinion, Flight 5 on October 13th is truly the most groundbreaking milestone of SpaceX's entire 2024. The company nailed to return Starship's Super Heavy directly to its launch mount, catching it with the chopstick arms of the launch tower in a bold and unprecedented maneuver. For many people, that is a day for the engineering history books. Clearly, the booster catch was not the only highlight for Flight 5. In addition to the booster catch, the mission also sent the Starship upper stage into space and returned it for a planned splashdown in the Indian Ocean approximately 65 minutes post-launch. This dual-objective flight demonstrates SpaceX's commitment to refining its technology and enhancing its capabilities for future missions, including potential crewed flights to the Moon and Mars under NASA's Artemis program. Another interesting tidbit: just before Flight 5, the FAA authorized SpaceX for Flight 6. This fast movement of the FAA perhaps is attributed to SpaceX's tireless efforts to force the agency's bureaucracy to work much more efficiently. Starship's sixth test flight is set for November 19th, just 36 days after the fifth test flight. The mission planned for the second attempt to catch booster, but due to the safety issues, that nail-biting catch attempt was called off. The booster then successfully did splashdown as it was, and Starship's upper stage continued its journey and completed its task excellently. It finished one of the important tasks, igniting one of its Raptor engines while in space for the first time that had been canceled in Flight 3. The vehicle also performed an amazing splashdown in the Indian Ocean as planned, capping off a smooth test. Faced with the growing progress of the Starship project, SpaceX has determined to take a huge leap in 2025, increase the frequency of rocket launches by 25 times. That requires adding more pads in addition to the operating pad. Stacking the second launch tower in Starbase is basically completed. The chopstick and ship quick disconnect arm were about to be installed when I made this report. However, more work is needed before Starships can start lifting off from the new pad. For example, the pad's launch mount has not yet been done. As per Elon Musk's April presentation, there will be 2 additional launch towers at Cape Canaveral. In fact, SpaceX is progressing with rebuilding a Starship launch pad at LC-39A as part of its plan to expand the Roberts Road facility. If everything goes smoothly, the first Cape launch tower and launch system will be operational around the middle of next year. Synchronizing the 2 launch towers in Texas and the 2 in Florida would benefit SpaceX's orbital refueling test campaign in 2025 and Artemis 3 in mid-2027. The company will need to launch at least 15 Starships for Artemis 3's lunar landing, which will largely involve multiple launches to refuel in Earth orbit before flying to the Moon. Such a massive launch volume would require adequate launch infrastructure. SpaceX's heavy investment in the Starship project manifests its long-term vision. SpaceX's president, Gwynne Shotwell, argued that Starship will be even more valuable to SpaceX in the long run. Ultimately, I think Starship will be the thing that takes us over the top as one of the most valuable companies. We can't even envision what Starship is going to do to humanity and humans' lives, and I think that will be the most valuable part of SpaceX. That is based on the belief that the fully reusable rocket, with a payload capacity to low Earth orbit that could exceed 100 metric tons, will change everything about spaceflight, and not just with lower launch costs. Starship is so big that the concept of how we put things in space, how people will travel in space, is totally different, she added. It's safe to say that the features of the Starship rocket align perfectly with Elon Musk's original vision of a vehicle to transport people to Mars in the future. Starship is designed as a fully reusable spacecraft, capable of refueling in orbit and utilizes Methalox propellant, methane and liquid oxygen, which is not only efficient for deep space missions, but can also be produced on Mars itself. This innovative design is crucial for establishing a sustainable human presence on the red planet. However, these ambitious concepts were once mere ideas on paper. Gwynne Shotwell has been instrumental in bringing Musk's vision to life. Her leadership has transformed these theoretical features into a robust reality, driving the development of Starship into what it is today. As President and Chief Operating Officer, Gwynne Shotwell has been instrumental in overseeing daily operations at SpaceX, ensuring that the company meets its ambitious goals. Her adept management of complex projects and maintenance of operational stability have been crucial during periods of rapid growth and innovation. This dynamic allows Elon Musk to focus on his other ventures and political aspirations. While Musk's depth pocket is a good background behind SpaceX, the company's development would not have reached its current heights without significant government support through crucial contracts and projects. Shotwell's strategic acumen has played a pivotal role in securing these partnerships, enabling SpaceX to thrive. Shotwell has played a key role in securing contracts with NASA and the U.S. military, which have provided essential funding and support for the Starship program. Her diplomatic skills have enabled effective collaboration between SpaceX and governmental agencies, despite differing operational approaches. Her idea is simply to focus more on the rich customer segment and find a way to sell her product to them. One of the most potential customers here is NASA, with an endless budget funded by the U.S. government. In addition, NASA's programs also have been hitting many troubles and delay and over-expenditure caused by its outdated space launch system. So choosing a supplier with quality and low-cost products is the first priority of the U.S. Space Agency. By her wisdom, Shotwell has successfully convinced NASA many times to sign multi-billion commercial contracts with SpaceX since 2016, including carrying cargo and crew to the International Space Station and eventually to the Moon. But no one can forget, or shouldn't forget, that with its presence in the list of NASA's partners, SpaceX's reputation has and is continuing to rise. Nothing is better than a junior in the space industry who takes the chance to practice in national projects. Amazingly, in each role it joined, SpaceX came out on top and gave NASA peace of mind. Shotwell's good diplomatic skills with the government further enhanced her position in negotiations with federal agencies, particularly the FAA. Her voice also played a key role in shortening the time between Starship flights, especially amid tensions as the FAA delayed launching licenses. For example, the Flight 6 schedule was made just 36 days after Flight 5, a record-breaking turnaround for Starship. This pace is 3.5 times faster than the gap between Flights 4 and 5, an achievement unmatched by any organization in aerospace history. Shotwell's reputation has earned her praise from key figures, including NASA former Administrator Bill Nelson, who commended her leadership. Elon has a president that he lets run the company, and her name is Gwynne Shotwell, Nelson remarked. I hugged her with a smile on my face because I know she is running that thing. She's running SpaceX, he added. Shotwell's strategic vision is also shown in building profitable business lines around technology SpaceX already has in order to support longer-term projects. It's called residual capability. Under her time, SpaceX, instead of just focusing on rockets, started to extend its business range. Take, for example, we've all seen that SpaceX used to launch satellites for other companies, and Shotwell later realized a larger opportunity, a self-created satellite. And by spreading it around the world, the company could build a sustainable business on Earth that might be needed on Mars. However, one of many issues on the satellite market is the high price caused by the expensive cost per launch of a rocket, whereas the advantage of SpaceX is the type of low-cost rocket with the most power and largest payload capability. So why don't we use those rockets to launch as many satellites as possible to save money and time? Well, thanks to Shotwell, Starlink now has a large coverage global, with more than 4 million subscribers. This cash cow is projected to generate $6.6 billion in hardware and subscription revenue in 2024, contributing a huge chunk of revenue to the company and paying for the Starship development. With the unprecedented feat of the first-ever catch of a Super Heavy booster of Mechazilla chopsticks in Starship Flight 5, Elon Musk's SpaceX made 2024 one of the most memorable years in space. As a revolutionary rocket-catching structure, Mechazilla represents a significant advancement in reusable rocket technology. By catching the booster mid-air, SpaceX minimizes wear and tear compared to traditional landing methods, such as splashdowns in the ocean or hard landings on land. This capability allows for quicker refurbishment and reuse of the booster, potentially reducing turnaround time from months to just days, and making space travel more accessible and sustainable. However, as SpaceX targets to ramp up the Starship launch cadence in the following years, the dependence on the launch tower will hinder their progress. That's where an additional solution like drone ship landing comes in. The idea has moved to a concrete plan and is now being considered by the FAA under the FAA's Draft Environmental Impact Statement for Starship operations in Florida, which outlines plans for landing the Super Heavy booster downrange in the Atlantic Ocean on a drone ship, and landing Starship on a drone ship. For the Florida operations, Starship will launch from Launch Complex 39A in Florida. Then, Super Heavy will land on a drone ship in the Gulf of Mexico. And finally, Starship will land on a drone ship in a designated ocean area. The EIS does not specify these locations in detail. However, in another FAA document, the Draft Tiered Environmental Assessment for SpaceX Starship at Boca Chica, Texas, there are 4 potential landing sites. The first area is the Gulf of Mexico. The second is the North Pacific Ocean, with landing zones either between the Hawaiian Islands and the U.S. mainland or west of Hawaii, near the central region of the Pacific Ocean. The South Pacific Ocean offers another potential site, located along the west coast of the South American continent. Finally, the Indian Ocean, where Starship landed on its last flight, provides a vast expanse stretching from the west of Australia to the east of Madagascar. So, why has SpaceX chosen to include water landing in its programs? SpaceX has opted for water landings in its program primarily to enhance payload capacity. By landing downrange rather than returning to a fixed site, the rockets can carry more cargo without using additional fuel. This strategy is particularly crucial for the heavier Super Heavy booster. For the Starship, incorporating a launch and landing platform at sea has always been integral to its design. SpaceX reportedly acquired 2 oil rigs to convert into floating platforms for Starship operations, which will work alongside the ground-based Mechazilla system. As launch frequencies increase, relying solely on one landing method would be inefficient. Drone ships provide a flexible alternative that enhances the program's adaptability. Drone ship landings offer significant flexibility, since these platforms can be relocated anywhere in the ocean. This mobility is advantageous for Starship's potential point-to-point travel across the globe. If Starship can land on a drone ship, it avoids complications associated with landing near densely populated areas like Tokyo or Sydney. Establishing mobile landing ships is more feasible than constructing numerous fixed sites, allowing for easier relocation of operations when necessary. Using the Starship as a means of travel to the other side of the planet could significantly enhance SpaceX's profitability. Indeed, SpaceX can tap into a lucrative market that not only supports its launch operations, but also aligns with its long-term goals of interplanetary exploration. This dual-use capability, serving both terrestrial travel and deep space missions, could provide a consistent revenue stream that fuels further development and innovation. The biggest constraint SpaceX has had so far is the environmental issues and approval for launches and landing near urban areas. That is just as much an international issue as it is a U.S. issue. Water landings help mitigate these issues by reducing noise and risk at launch sites, and reducing problems associated with approvals, as the ocean serves as a natural buffer against potential hazards. Additionally, drone ship landings could expand Starship's international reach. For instance, plans may include collaboration with Australia in the Indian Ocean, where starships could land on drone ships and then be towed for refurbishment, fostering international partnerships. Over time, this model could lead to new launch sites in various countries, further extending Starship's global influence. On the other hand, there will be some challenges. The most obvious is the gained mass by adding the landing legs. Due to the huge size, the legs on Starship would be significantly larger and more robust than those on Falcon 9. To handle this issue, they could reduce the weight of the rocket by the size of the landing gear to increase the payload. These legs would also need to fold seamlessly to avoid creating unnecessary bulk during launch and flight. Not only the Starship itself, but the drone ships would also require substantial upgrades. Starship's drone ship would need to be much larger and more durable than those for Falcon 9. It would be very important to increase the durability of the drone ships, since they usually withstand the immense forces generated during landings. For context, Super Heavy's thrust is currently around 7,000 tons, expected to rise to 8,000 tons with version 2 and over 10,000 tons in later iterations. Starship's thrust, meanwhile, could reach up to 2,800 tons in future versions. Even though only a few gimbal engines are used for landing, the structural demands on the drone ship are considerable. In this case, SpaceX could add a dedicated water deluge system. They are also adopting a new type of water deluge system to Falcon 9's sea platform that sprays the deck with water before landing to reduce erosion. Using this system on an offshore platform offers many advantages, such as we can utilize an endless source of seawater. Saltwater would not cause much of a negative impact on the rocket engines, as the heat from the engine's exhaust would distill the salt water and turn it into pure water vapor. Not to mention, presumably engine bells are some stainless variety of steel. So how about you? Do you like the concept of a Starship landing pad at sea? Please comment "Yes" in the comment section below. Frankly, many years ago, SpaceX became interested in developing an offshore launch and land pad. In July 2020, the company purchased 2 deepwater oil rigs from Valaris Public for $3.5 million each, shortly before Valaris filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The acquisition of these rigs, named Phobos and Deimos, was seen as a bargain at the time, intended for conversion into launch and landing platforms for the Starship. However, by February 2023, SpaceX decided to sell the rigs instead of converting them. Gwynne Shotwell, SpaceX's president, explained that the Starship is still in its developmental phase, and its reliability needs to be established through multiple orbital launches before investing in offshore launch platforms. The focus shifted to launching Starship from existing facilities to gain the necessary flight experience. The idea of using floating platforms did not disappear entirely. During the International Astronautical Congress in October 2023, Elon Musk indicated that SpaceX plans to develop a specially designed ocean-going platform for future launches. This reflects the company's ongoing interest in offshore solutions as part of its long-term strategy to support high-frequency launches. While the initial plan to use the oil rigs has been abandoned, SpaceX remains committed to exploring sea-based launch options once it has more operational experience with Starship. Landing the Starship on a drone ship equipped with landing legs embodies a daring and visionary strategy for SpaceX's future. This method aligns seamlessly with the company's ambitions to explore and establish a foothold on celestial bodies, like the Moon and Mars. Landing legs are crucial for missions to other worlds, where stable and adaptable landing mechanisms are necessary due to uneven terrains filled with rocks and cracks. Elon Musk highlighted this need in 2023 when he remarked on a SpaceX tweet showcasing the synchronized landing of 2 Falcon Heavy boosters, stating, "And that's how we will land on Mars." This comment not only emphasized the significance of landing legs, but also hinted at SpaceX's broader aspirations. For lunar missions, prototypes of the Starship Human Landing System, HLS, have already demonstrated initial designs for landing legs, featuring both foldable and fixed models. These prototypes illustrate the challenges of tailoring Starship for environments with distinct demands. While specific designs for Martian landing legs remain under wraps, SpaceX is expected to reveal them soon, especially as plans for an uncrewed Starship mission to Mars draw closer within the next 2 years. Utilizing drone ships with landing legs serves as a vital testing ground for refining these designs. By proving the feasibility and reliability of landing legs on Earth, SpaceX can collect essential data to enhance the technology for use on the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Each celestial body presents unique challenges that necessitate ongoing research and development to adapt landing systems effectively. Before reaching these ambitious milestones, SpaceX must tackle the immediate challenges posed by upcoming Starship missions. A robust re-entry system is critical for successful landings, whether utilizing Mechazilla arms or landing legs. The Starship must withstand the extreme heat and stress of re-entry, making its heat shield system one of its most vital components. The protective tiles must operate flawlessly to maintain the spacecraft's structural integrity during this demanding phase. In addition to the heat shield, other crucial systems include navigation aids such as flaps and engines. These components must work reliably and integrate smoothly to guide Starship through its descent. Their performance will be pivotal in determining the success of landing Starship on drone ships and other surfaces. As SpaceX continues to innovate and refine its technology, the prospect of landing Starship on drone ships represents not just a technical challenge, but a significant step towards realizing its vision of interplanetary exploration and colonization. Anyway, nothing is written in stone. To make the idea possible, it will take SpaceX a significant time to research and develop, as well as test it in reality. Despite the many obstacles, it will be better if they are determined to pursue this new plan, demonstrating their ability to adapt quickly to change. And that just about wraps it up for today's episode. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next time.